So here's my 1993 Mazda RX-7 FD left-hand drive US import. Little history on it. Well, I guess I'm taking this video because I'm getting ready to sell a car, and hopefully the next owner can appreciate some of the documentation and history on the car. I've taken very good care of it, and I hope whoever buys it next does the same. I'm sure they will. I really like the car. I'm not selling it because I don't like it. You can't keep everything in life, and there's other cars out there, and it's just, I've enjoyed it. It's time for somebody else to enjoy it too. So this car's been in the family since 2002. The car was purchased new in Salt Lake City by a doctor. He bought it for his wife for her birthday. How much driving she actually did, I'm not sure. I know that they had kept it until roughly 1998, where it was traded off at the dealership. They had kids that were growing up, and he couldn't put kids in the back seat. It was two-seater. He said that's the only reason they sold it. Otherwise, he probably would have kept it if he didn't have kids. So in 2002, my uncle bought the car on eBay from the other set of owners in Utah. And then after he bought it, he had the car until 2017 when I bought it. Now, when he bought the car, it had approximately 44,000 miles. And when he sold me the car back in 2017, the car had 46,500 miles, right around there anyway. So the car in 15 years only had, 2,500 miles put on it. He's a busy guy. He just doesn't get time to drive stuff. So that's actually one of the reasons how I think I kind of bugged him a little bit. You better sell the car to me so it actually gets driven. And I did. I've put in quite a few miles on it. I practically daily drive it during the summer. And I've got an hour drive to work, from work, and the car is super reliable. Everybody said the thing when I bought it that this thing was going to be junk and broke down all the time, and I was going to put an LS engine in it. And I have nothing against LS swaps, but honestly, I haven't had any issues with the rotary engine. After all the maintenance was brought up to spec, it's been completely reliable, not even a hiccup in the. Well, it's 2020 now, and I bought it in 17, and so 3 years of driving it. After the maintenance was done, it's been great. All right, so when I bought the car, I'm gonna pop the hood here. When I bought the car, it had, as I said, been sitting for a while. So what we did is, I have a friend here in town that I shouldn't say specialized, but has a lot of experience with turbocharged Japanese cars. We kind of came up with a list of what needed to be done. I did a ton of research on forums. I mean, I wanted a reliable car. I didn't need 500 horsepower. I just wanted it to be reliable, and pretty much just throw it in people's faces that you can have a reliable rotary car. So we came up with a list of stuff that needed to be done. I've got $7,000 or $8,000 in receipts for maintenance and not upgraded parts, but reliability mods and stuff, just to get the car to the point where you can daily drive it and not have a problem. It starts great, hot or cold. It's been completely reliable for me. It does have a fluid-dyne aluminum radiator. It does have the Y-pipe upgrade. It has Optima battery. It has the pre-cat delete, so it does have a downpipe on it. And none of that stuff is really designed to, as a performance upgrade. It's just a reliability upgrade. Try to keep the engine nice and cool, and the factory radiators are prone to leaking out of those plastic tanks, so that's why we upgraded that. And at the same time, I guess the big thing isn't even the reliability mods on these cars. It's if you're going to keep it stock and keep the twin turbos and everything, it's all the maintenance, all the stuff around it, really. There are approximately 62 rubber lines under the hood that need to get replaced for the rat's nest, which is kind of a common thing. The stock lines were just brittle, old and brittle, and so all of them were replaced. When the aluminum radiator was put in, all the cooling system lines were replaced. Water pump was replaced. I didn't have any issues out of any of that. I just, it hadn't, it was a 30-year-old car. It was just time to be done. Fuel system, the fuel pulsation dampener was replaced. And then I also had him replace all the fuel lines at the same time. He just totally went through the car mechanically, everything around it. Battery grounds, I guess, are a common issue. So I had him clean, take off every single ground point on the car and clean everything, and reinstall everything. little dielectric grease. I didn't have any issues out of the electrical system, but I just didn't want to have any issues. So, I mean, it was given a very, I mean, I can't think of anything that wasn't done. There's a, speaking of which, under the hood, there's a vacuum diagram that just shows 42 of the lines, but there were more that were replaced. All the original stickers under there. Original hood pad. It does have a little wear through there on the bottom, but otherwise in pretty good shape. I mean, as far as the engine goes, it gets regular oil changes. The transmission, I've got AMS oil in the transmission, in the rear differential, and then speaking of the transmission, actually about a month ago, I did have the 5th gear synchro, and the transmission started acting up. I figured out in a hurry that it was a common issue, the 5th gear synchro, so I bought a brand new synchro, upgraded Mazda part, OEM part. There's like a shift spring pawl assembly that bolts to the outside, something that's supposed to help, avoid trying to go into 5th gear when you're shifting from, 2nd into 3rd, which I guess is why they wear out prematurely. But so I got the upgraded parts, so the next owner's never going to have an issue with it, I don't think. So I did bring the car back down to Justin, and he pulled the transmission, and he replaced those. Did a phenomenal job. The transmission works like new again. I quit driving it as soon as that 5th gear synchro started acting up, and then we just got it taken care of. So that's good. And again, AMS oil in the rear end. I think mechanically, I mean, it's just brand new tires. I guess I did put a brand new set of Kumo tires. When I first bought the car, I was going to swap out the wheels, but I decided it was pretty stock. I should probably just leave them on there. So it's got stock wheels on it and stock replacement size tires. They're Kumos. They were replaced about a month ago. Have maybe 200 or 300 miles on them. Now, let's see here. I guess I'll close the hood. So this car is a factory touring car, which means that it came from the factory with they didn't really have a lip spoiler on them. They just had this little piece of black plastic that kind of followed the bottom of the bumper. I never much cared for it. I always liked the look of the R1 model spoilers, so I bought a brand new OEM Mazda replacement. I mean, it still had Mazda part number on the package and everything, and put that on there. I just think it looks so much better. Other than that, I mean, the rest of the car cosmetically is completely stock. So with it being a touring model, it also has a factory sunroof, which I actually love. You can keep the windows up, and in the summer you can open that up, and it's like nice fresh clean air, but it doesn't kind of give you that pulsating effect that some more newer cars, more modern cars do. It's just nice clean air. It's kind of similar to a convertible, I guess. And then also with the touring package, you get the, well, I should say leather seats, which have an incredibly unique smell. It's kind of funny after like not seeing the car for 10 years. I mean, it wasn't the most unique feature I guess I remember after seeing the car for, after 10 years was the smell of that leather. I sat in the car and just all those memories come flying back at you. Touring also has this Bose acoustic wave sound system. A lot of guys took them out back in the day. I mean, to be honest, it's not anything compared to any modern sound system, but it's a Bose. I mean, I think it looks cool, and it looks, period, it just adds to the cool factor of the car. So I left it in there. The Bose head units did give out on me, so I did pull those out. They'll go to the next owner. I've got them in a box. Hopefully, maybe there's somebody out there that can repair them, but in the meantime, I did put a Sony, replacement single DIN head unit in there. And it has Bluetooth and stuff too, I guess, so little handier for me. But the sound system, the speaker system is all still stock. It works. It doesn't sound great, but it's working correctly. It just, quality's come a long ways in 30 years. And then I guess while I'm back here, that does have the original spare tire. And there's the instructions, and then there's the tire. And then all the tire tools are here. Everything's there. It's a very clean, unmolested car. I've even got the original brochures, owner's manual, warranty information back from when the car was new with the original owner's name and the warranty information and everything. So, I mean, the documentation is just crazy on this car. I've kept all my receipts for almost everything I've done. The previous owners did too. This car has receipts going back to 1993. I guess we'll take a quick look at the interior. It's got a cool little spot for coins and stuff. I don't really use it, but it's handy. 180 mile an hour speedometer, red line, is 7,500 RPM. All the gauges function correctly. The oil pressure gauges are kind of, it works. It's kind of jerky, but all of them I've seen have been kind of jerky. Pop-up headlights. They still work. It does have a turbo timer that was put on it in the late 90s, as well as a Clifford alarm system that was put on in the late 90s. The alarm system to me is kind of a pain just because I live in a pretty safe area. I don't have any use for an alarm system, and it's just because it's an older system, it does kind of take a little more juice. It drains the battery. So if I don't drive the car for more than a month, you know, if I put it away for winter or something, I just either disconnect the battery or I pull the fuse. There's an inline fuse for the alarm system, and if you pull that, then it's fine. Still has there's the aluminum racing pedals and the original RX-7 floor mats that are in really good shape. I mean, there's not any discoloration on any of the interior parts. This car has been garaged since new. The first, second owners, everybody, as far as I know, I was told everybody kept it in the garage, and I have no reason to doubt that. I mean, there's no sun fading or anything. It's got 50,000 miles on it. If it was kept outside, you'd see something by now. Back here's the little candy storage bins. I keep like detailing products in this one and like premix in that one. I can't remember if I mentioned it already, but I do premix 1/2 ounce per gallon of Idemitsu rotary premix oil. Pretty cool. It's got the exhaust, overheat exhaust system. I remember it when I first saw the car back when I was like 12 years old. I remember seeing that and thinking, oh my gosh, this is such a race car. It even has a light for the overheat exhaust system. I had no idea what it was for. Didn't find out till much later what it was actually for, but I just thought it was really cool back then. You know, of course it had the racing gauges and stuff too. There's that Sony single DIN unit. Try to fish the key out of my pocket. This has a very unique door chime. See that oil pressure gauge kind of jumps, but it's common. I think the sending units get a little finicky. There's 50,000 miles. Cruise. The AC actually works like new. It kind of shocked me how well it works. It's super cold, which these cars are kind of known for being hot boxes. So it's nice to have a nice cool AC system that works like it's supposed to. E-brake, and that lights for, I guess, for the alarm system. Some really unique features, some stuff I love about this car. I mean, it's an iconic Japanese car. Everybody, talks about the FD Rx-7 as being one of the prettiest Japanese cars ever made. And it does. There's not a single flat panel on the whole car. It's just beautiful. All these sweeping lines and organic shapes. A couple things that really stood out to me when I was younger, when I first saw the car, was the scoops. I thought that was so cool. Just a race car with these, air vents, probably for the brakes, even though they're not. They're just cosmetic, but at the time I didn't know that. Racing mirrors. No spoiler, and actually a lot of people like the R1s with the spoilers and stuff, and at first when I started seeing them, I kind of liked the R1s better. I thought it looked a little naked without the spoiler, but as the years went on, I actually prefer the spoiler-less look. I don't actually kind of like it without the spoiler. I think it looks good, and it's still got the good looking taillights, of course. But I really love the car. I'm not selling it because I don't like it. It just, you can't keep everything. And I really do hope whoever ends up with it next loves it as much as myself and my family, you know, my uncle has, and yeah, I guess that's it. So now I'm gonna go take the car for a little drive, and before I even do that, I'll show you kind of how the features work on the car. So, as far as buttons go, power windows work just fine. Power mirrors. Work good. These it's kind of an odd feature, these locks. If you lock this one, the other side automatically locks and unlocks. They're linked up. It's kind of interesting. It's actually kind of handy. So there's a little storage pocket. Now if you turn on the headlights, they come on, they pop up automatically. There's also a button over here that you can push that does the same thing. It pops up the headlights, but it does not turn the headlights on. It's really useful for just for cleaning the headlights without having the lights on. Turbo timer. The Sony deck. It's hooked up via Bluetooth right now to my phone. So that Bose sound system, it's, you know, it works good. You know, as I mentioned earlier, nothing compared to a modern system, but here's the buttons for the cruise control, on and off, and actually the cruise control works great. I use it every once in a while. I don't use it very often, but it's got the original cigarette lighter. The dial for the, just to control the brightness on the cluster. Blend door, cold hot air, recirculate, AC. Everything works great. Switch to the floor. Defrost. And the AC is already blowing cold. Hazards. Left turn signal, right turn signal. Windshield wipers, and then the rear hatch wiper too, which they work as well. I'm not going to do it right now because the windshield's not wet. I don't like using them if it's not wet. With the headlights on, you can turn on the fog lights, and they work as well. Rear defrost works great. Actually, when you toggle it, there's a little light up there. This is defrost. It's pretty cool. I love the little idiot lights. Same with the brake. What else do we have here? Oh, the sunroof. Lights. No mirror or anything. Just a driver airbag information. There's no airbag on that side, just the driver's side. And then security light, I'm not sure, I've never seen it light up before, but I also don't use a security system. overheat exhaust system. I've, again, never seen that either, but as I understand it, it doesn't, I guess it doesn't even really come on unless you have the pre-cat on. But this car hasn't had a pre-cat on it since the 90s. Really cool. I actually love the coin holder. Well, it's a coin holder for me. It's actually a cigarette ashtray, but because you can pull it out, and I just keep it full of coins. But I don't know, it's cool. It's actually, this little pocket area is actually big enough to where you can put an iPhone in there. I don't, but you could. Let's see. And then a really cool feature on these, and I almost wish they did it on both sides, the driver's side and the passenger side. Why the passenger got this cool switch setup is beyond me, and the driver doesn't. But it's a cool little grab handle, and then that's the window switch. Use your thumb. It's like a aircraft, like not a joystick, but control stick or something. I don't know. It's just cool feature. And there's a little pocket in there, which I've never used, and then pocket there I keep my premix in. This side I just keep like detailing stuff, and then this rear panel, those you can actually unhook on both sides, and then it kind of comes out and folds down, so you can potentially put something longer that would go between the back of the seats and the trunk area, the hatch area. I've never taken it out before, but it does come out. Let's see here. Got a little den pocket under there. Just remote for the Sony setup. Let's see. I guess we can take it for a little drive. I'm gonna shut my camera off for a second so I can kind of get the camera positioned so I can actually drive without it going everywhere. Driving the car it's just a blast. It's so much fun to cruise around in. The car is, it has air conditioning that actually works pretty good. As far as creature comforts go, it doesn't really have anything else. I guess it does have power windows, which are technically a creature comfort, but it's not a luxury car by any means. It's a proper sports car, and it drives like one. It handles great. Rides a little rough, as far as soaking up bumps and stuff like that. But to me, it's one of the many things that kind of add to the more visceral sports car experience. Gives you the feeling that you're more connected to the road. The steering is very, very tight, very precise. I love the steering in this car, and it actually has it's just a little heavy. I mean, not like manual steering heavy, but heavy enough to where I don't know why I prefer that, but I do like a little heavier steering. But it's just very, very predictable, and with the fender flares where they're at on the front end, it kind of helps you place the front wheels when you're in a corner, so you're not kind of guessing where your front wheels are. And the 50-50 weight distribution just really helps this car. It helps the handling. It just helps. It makes a person that's not really by no means a race car driver right. I'm not going to take a ton of time here, but just kind of give a brief little view of what I have for paperwork. So here is the original owner's manual. It's in excellent condition. It's got everything in it. 1993 warranty information, original as well. And let's see here. And there's the original owner's wife's name right there. Purchased 2/4 of 1993. It's at Clunes Mazda in Utah. In great shape. The Mazda RX-7 anti-theft system information. And the quick reference, which is kind of like the sales brochure. It's pretty cool. It's got some nice pictures in it. Quick sample of some of the features and some specs on the engine. I kind of like this too. It's got a little odometer reading times 1000, and it tells you what you should be checking or replacing at what point. Pretty cool. All original to the car. Been with it since it was new. And then this is the previous owner's records, starting back in 1993. I mean, they just kept everything. Stuff for oil changes, tires, vehicle inspection reports, which I believe was for emissions in Utah. Actually, it definitely was for emissions in Utah. I mean, this particular one is from, where's the date here? 8/14 of 2001, so right before my uncle bought it. Tires, 2001. I mean, just record after record after record. This is pretty much a service, $400. Record after record. Extreme Auto. That is the shop in Utah that I believe had put the engine in. Yep. So this is even the, I don't know if you can see it on the GoPro, but engine, and that's the Mazda part number for it, for the long block. Back then it was only $1,936 for a Mazda long block, and this was in 7/11 of 2000. And I thought it had the mileage here. Yep, 32,142 miles. Keep in mind the car now has 50,000 miles and it runs great. And I'm not going to go through all these, but the further back you go, the earlier it gets. Obviously, further back here, there's, I mean, let's see, I can't remember. The oldest one was from 93, I believe. Discount tire. Big tires, that's 1999. It's not that one. There's one of these anyway. That was, so here's a tough to read, but this is a Mazda receipt from August of 1993 for a basic service, you know, oil filter change and all that stuff. So yeah, this shows 1,444 miles on it. So this was, I'm guessing, the very first oil change, the very first service. It's got the original owner's name on there, and but all sorts of just cool receipts and documents and stuff with this car. And let's see here. Throw these in back here real quick. And then this is my folder that I started. This is a fresh Carfax that I just printed off the other day for the next owner. And I can read through it, but it's all clean. Shows myself in there, and then the previous owners in Utah, miles, dates associated with the mileage. There's Oneida, South Dakota. That's where my uncle lived. And then it's going to be a lot of those over and over again. And then 2017 was the last time my uncle registered it, and then later on in 5/12 of 2017 is when I registered it. So it's been in Lead since then, Lead, South Dakota. But it's all there anyway. And here's, I kept the original tax document I got from the DMV when I registered the car here under my name. And then, yeah, that was 5/12 of 2017. Let's see here. Crutchfield, that's for that Sony unit. But I mean, there's Sturtevant's. That's just for the touch-up paint. This JDM Customs, that's the shop here in town that's done pretty much almost every single thing to this car. This one was for when he pulled the transmission, replaced the 5th gear synchro, spindle bearings. I'm pretty good about keeping receipts and then writing down what was done, and then stapling the best I can, stapling the like the parts receipts to the back of it. And this one does have, this one's got like, there's the repair receipt, then here's for the new bearings, Atkins rotary for the gasket, that spring, or excuse me, synchro ring, and then the spindle spring kit, shifter, bushing kit, so it's all stapled together. There's that OEM lip spoiler. I mean, there's everything. Here's the brand new tires I got in 7/14 of 2020, so just a couple months ago, or about 1 month ago, month and a half ago. Customer supply oil changes, I mean, everything. I mean, they're all going to be in here. I don't have time to go through all of them right now, but they're all in here. All repairs, parts, I mean, ton of documentation, but I'll quit there, but just to give you kind of a brief idea of what it has for documentation.